All right, guys. Hey, welcome. This is Stephen Yu with the Family First Life SkyPoint Base Shop call. This is our Sky's the Limit agency call, and I'm very, very blessed to have one of my favorite people in the company. She's so genuine and awesome. I think my favorite moment this year was when she went to convention and got an award, and Sean was like, and the All-American Award winner is Vivian. Wow. And she was like, I'm Brazilian. I'm like, I love it. I love it so much. Viv, thank you so much for hopping on with us. We're so excited to be able to hear your story. And by the way, that's a beautiful office from the last time I remember seeing it. But thank you so much for hopping on. This is our base shop. This is, we're focusing so heavily now as a company of growing with, right? And you're doing such a good job at doing that. So this is our new groups that we're growing outside of our VPs. And just trying to be like you and, grow a big team. So Viv, thanks for coming on, and we're excited to hear from you.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Steve. You were one of my favorite people in the company too. So you guys got me. I completely forgot we had this call today, so I have no makeup on. So you got Vivian without makeup. I put some
You definitely have makeup on. I mean,
I put some makeup on to try and look a little bit pretty.
I mean, if you don't have makeup on and look that good, I mean, shoot, I mean, you're better than most people in our situation. So, Viv, can you share with everybody like your story? How did you find Family First Life, let alone the industry? Because you were a successful businesswoman prior to everything, right? And how did this all come about for those that don't know your story?
Yeah, how I found insurance. Like everybody, I was broke. Like I don't think anybody grow up thinking, hey, I want to be an insurance agent, right? Like I want to be like, a firefighter. No, that doesn't work. So basically, yeah, my husband and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've built several businesses. My husband is a structural engineer. When we found insurance, we had opened our previous jewelry line, and that was the second jewelry line I had. The first one was with my ex-husband. My ex-husband is a very big gold glass sculptor, and I had this business idea of taking his work and turning into jewelry, and it was a huge success, huge, massive. And but working with my ex-husband is not really good idea. So that at some point we're like, this is not going to work. Let's break up. And we did, and we took all the money that I made on that company and put into developing a completely different, fully sustainable, recycled type of high-end jewelry. So 18 karat gold, lab-grown diamonds, absolutely beautiful. My husband and I put everything we had, like every ounce of our being into that company. We invested about $1.5 million of our own money, no VC money, no raising money, all of our capital. And what happened was within that company, it didn't take off as fast as the one before. So within 6 months after launching the company, we were like, we're not getting sales. We had an overhead of like, I don't know, 250 grand a month at that point. Wow. And we're like, what are we going to do? And we had a place in Miami and a place in LA. So I was, flying back and forth. And we were about to be evicted in both. And COVID was hitting. So we're like, we gotta go get jobs. I'm a very experienced CMO and CEO, and he's very experienced structural engineer. And we started looking for jobs. And that's when I did start seeing on ZipRecruiter, 100 million ads for insurance.
Right.
And I was like, this is interesting. I see a lot of these things. So when you're looking for, jobs, over $150,000 salary, you're going to see a lot of insurance ads. And, I started doing interviews for C-level jobs. And I did get an amazing, I got a few offers, but the best offer that I got was for a CMO job to be CEO of this incredible company over here in Miami. Starting salary, 250,000 base, and everything else on top of it. You know what, that would have paid their bills. But at the same time, I went into a corporate overview for insurance for a different company. And it was total brainwashing. It was like people in the front crying, the whole thing that they do. But you know what? I wasn't brainwashed. I could see right through it. But I was like, hold on a minute. If this guy can make what he's saying that he can make, I can make double. At the time, I wasn't a salesperson per se. I was the owner of the company. My ex-husband, his artwork whenever we did art shows, they would go anywhere from $15,000 to $250,000 right there on the floor. And I would close those deals in 45 minutes. And so I was like, I can do this. And I decided to take the insurance option. And my husband wanted to kill me. He's like, are you nuts? We're about to be evicted. They're turning off our elevator key in like 2 or 3 weeks if we don't pay for the rent. And I got my license in 4 days. I started working on that company. I was in the field for about 2 weeks until everything was shut down, and I had to literally go into Zoom without having zero training. Nobody was doing Zoom at the time. It didn't exist. But remember, if I didn't pay for the rent, I was gonna be in the streets. So I figured it out. I wrote the book on how to do Zoom appointments. Within 1 month, I was the #1 producer in that company. Within 3 months, I was breaking records. And then within 4 months, I was recruited by Andrew's baby, Atlas. And then I came to FFL, and it was absolutely the best decision of my life.
I love that so much. And see, like, that's what's crazy, right? Like, Vivian, you've ran successful businesses before, and I had no business background, but my mom ran a shoe franchise that she created because my mom had a 6th grade level of education. So she felt like she was too stupid for anybody to hire her. So she was like, I'm just going to go create my own job. Right. And I watched her invest $300,000 per store. So it was about $1 million that she invested into her store. And she worked 14, 16 hours a day. Like, that was normal. And in high school, she was, like you said, between Miami and LA, she was in China back in the States because she was working with the factories. And what was so fascinating was when I got started here at Family First Life, I never necessarily had business background, but I was like, if I can work like an immigrant, I think I'll be okay. And if you treat this business like it's a multi-million-dollar business, kind of like how you do, because you've already invested that type of money before, then it will pay you like one. The problem that I see with people here, Vivian, is they go, oh, it's just an insurance license, E&O, some leads. I'm all in for less than 1,000. If it doesn't work, whatever. And because they have that mindset, that's the reason why some of them don't succeed, because they get a little bit of pushback, a little bit of obstacles, a little bit of challenges, and they throw in the towel, correct? And so I love that. I love that about your work ethic and how you did that. One of the craziest stories I remember hearing, I think when we first met, you were pregnant, and you were like, when I was 8 months pregnant, I protected this many families. And when I was 9 months pregnant, I protected this many families. And I'm sitting there going like, so what's everybody else's excuse? Can you kind of share that with everybody? Because like, that was like your opening here at Family First Life, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I came into FFL, so I guess I started getting my contracts in September 2020. And I don't even consider starting then, because I didn't. I mean, I did protect 107 families in my first month, which was September 2020. But I don't consider starting because I didn't really start. It was like I came in, I wrote some insurance, protected 107 families, and then I got pregnant and I was on bed rest for I think 5 months, something ridiculous. And I literally, to the point that I couldn't even go to the bathroom by myself. My husband had to carry me to the bathroom because I could lose the baby. And imagine that baby is a crazy terrorist baby right now, running around all over the place, and nobody can catch up with him. He's doing just fine. He's 2 years old now. So I was on bed rest, and at that time the jewelry line took off. So the jewelry line took off to the point, we had all the inventory, and the jewelry line was doing $300,000 a month at this point. I'm in bed rest. I didn't know what was going to happen with insurance. I had changed companies. I didn't really know if hey, the jewelry line is taking off. Let's just invest on it and it's going to be fine. And we can just do everything we wanted to do to begin with. But then I'm seeing everybody where they're taking off. I saw what Dave Richard did that year from the beginning to the end. And I'm seeing everybody taking off, and the overhead and the cost that you have to run this jewelry line to make sense. I make about, as a CEO, I make about $10,000 a month. When I can pay myself, because you have so many costs that you have to factor it in. And what we were seeing once we started doing the math is that with insurance, so you would put all this sweat equity in, and if we started building the way that we knew we could build, it could give us so much more. So in December, we're like, around Christmas, we're like, maybe we should just shut down the jewelry line and let's do insurance all the way. And this company is doing like 300 grand a month. And then we went to convention February, and I'm off the field completely. Like, I'm not doing anything. Came to FFL, did a little bit of business, and then, you know, February we go to convention. I wasn't supposed to be in convention because I was on bed rest, and my doctor's like, "You're not going," and I'm like, "Okay, okay, not going." I went anyway, and I'm sitting there. You know, I listened to the Dave Anderson speech, and that was it for me. That day we hired a recruiter. Even though, you know, all of the stuff that really came to our agency was done by my husband, but we hired a recruiter. We started going in hard. We put a $15,000 budget on recruiting, and we didn't have that money at the time. We're like, I have to go to the field, and I have to produce, and I have to sustain this $15,000 budget, and it's right. It's gonna, no matter what, we have to have the money to put into recruiting. And then we started investing just like we would in any business, because like with the jewelry line, we're putting 100 grand a month into like digital marketing. 100 grand.
Yep.
So what's $15,000, right? So like, let's put $15,000 a month, and that was like non-negotiable. And we started building that business. So I was in the field producing. At 8 months pregnant, I was doing I guess 55,000. My 9th month, I did 58. No, I protected 58 families on month 9. I was in the field until 8 days before my son was born. And I was back in the field 3 weeks after the baby was born. 2 months after the baby was born, I was back on Zoom because I was really depressed about the fact that, you know, I was walking around with wearable pumps, trying to pump between homes and appointments and the whole thing. And my milk dried out, and I was finding myself coming back home in the middle of the day, like to see the baby, and it was just very like frustrating for me. And I was like, you know what, I know I'm telling myself that being in the field is better than Zoom just because I'm a knucklehead. It's all a lie. I'm going back to Zoom, and I'm gonna do it bigger than ever. And I did. I was scared, as you can imagine I could ever be. And I came back to Zoom, and my very first full month on Zoom, I think was I protected 115 families. And I have not had a month that I did less than 100 families since then, you know, being, you know, full-time in the field.
See, that's what's so crazy, right? Is like we tell ourselves so many of these lies. They're like, oh, this way is better than this way. It's like, no. If you really wanted to work, you'd find a way to make it work, right? And so currently right now, you run one of the largest agencies all within FFL. You know, when I heard the numbers, I remember when Sean was talking to you and your husband on stage, you guys, you know, protecting 1,500 families a month with only like 50 agents. And I was doing the math. I was like, okay, I love Zach Trudowski. And everybody was like, you know, Zach has the highest issue pay per writer. And I was like, I'm pretty sure, simple math, that's 3 times more, right? So are you guys strictly doing Zoom sales? Is it telesales? Is it a blend of both? Like, how are you doing it with your team right now?
100% virtual sales. So we have telesales and we have Zoom. I do love Zach too. And Zach was one of our biggest inspirations. Like, I don't think we would be able to do this if it wasn't for what he was doing. And that's what's beautiful about this industry, is that we can inspire each other, right? So Zach started changing the standards. And then we're like, hey, if he's doing it, we can do it. And we can do it bigger because, you know, like, we can push the boundaries. Yep. And that he was like, I remember we were at we're meeting up in Boca, and we met with Zach, and Zach was like this, oh my God, Zach Trudowski. Like, at the time, we're like, I was pregnant. You know, we didn't know anybody in FFL, and we got to pick his brain a little bit, and we did introduce a lot of the things that he was doing. Yeah, we have the highest issue pay writers in the industry, I would say, not just
absolutely
right now. I think our average issue pay right now, our agents are doing 30 families per agent average. We have several, probably 6 or 7 agents doing over, you know, protecting over 100 families a month. Our standards very high. It's kind of crazy. The new agent comes in and see what our agents are doing. They're like, hey, I can go for that. They can do it. I can do it too. But yeah, it was what was your question again? See,
It was, how did you get it so high? And like, how did you like, what is just like, how do you set the standard for a brand new agent? Like, let's say I'm a brand new agent, I join your team. What do you guys talk to me about? Like, what is the standard that you guys set for me on day one?
I don't set anybody's standard. They set their own standard. Like,
Okay.
I can't, you're a brand new agent. I can't come in and say, hey, you're going to protect 100 families. That's crazy. I used to push people that way because, you know, that's a little bit like the Shawn Mike crazy personality that I have, you know, but the reality is I had to learn how to meet people where they are at.
Right.
Some people come in, they're like, yes, I do want to protect 100 families. And some people say, I want to protect 20 families. You know, the really interesting thing is that when you are within a culture and an environment where people are producing at a high level, I don't have to tell you that you can do more. You realize you can do more.
Absolutely.
So what happens is, by me being in the field, and we do everything Zoom. So Zoom and telesales, I would say 90% Zoom, 10% telesales. And the reality is your closing ratio is going to be higher in Zoom. Your retention ratio is going to be higher in Zoom. So I think it's just the more natural thing. Everybody follows what I do. So I took a little bit of a break, about 3 months. I wasn't running at all full time. Now I'm back to running full time. Like next week, I'm back in the field full time. My entire team watches me running appointments all day long. So what happens is people are coming in and they are watching me protecting 10, 15, 20 families a day. They're like, oh my God, it's not that hard. Look what she's doing. It's not that hard. I'm taking every single one of my agents on ride-alongs all day long.
Absolutely.
And then they believe that they can do it. And they just take the system that they're watching all day long and they're replicating it. And then when they ask me, hey, Viv, how much are you spending in leads? What type of leads you're getting? And all of that, they're just replicating it. And because the reality is you can issue a lot more if you're doing virtual, if you just adjust your leads and you adjust your schedule. The problem is that people want to take whatever they're doing in the fields and they want to bring it to virtual, and then they get wrecked. But if you take and you adjust your schedule and you adjust your leads budget, you can run 3 times more appointments than you would in the field. I have Alex Milgram in our team right now, protecting 200 families a month, and he's running 100 appointments a week. Oh my God, are you crazy? How is that possible? Well, he's a machine. His nickname is Machine. He's the machine. He's a single guy. He lives in Vegas. He doesn't drink. He doesn't gamble. He doesn't do anything bad. All he does is work. He wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He's extremely disciplined, and he has the most amount of leads you can possibly imagine. Has a system that he created where he's running 100. He runs 25. He has 25 appointments scheduled a day. Therefore, he protects 200 family. Are you surprised?
No, absolutely not. It's just numbers.
Yeah, it's just numbers. So I don't set that up for them. They set it for themselves by just watching me do it. And, you know, I take myself out of the field on purpose. So last 3 months, I kind of slowed down and took myself so the agency can grow without me. And then I reset myself back in the field. Why? Because when I do it, it gets people pumped up. Yeah. Your agency will never grow at the level you want it to if you're not part of it. Absolutely. And then I take myself off the field again. So it's kind of like it's very interesting concept, but it works. And then if I'm leading from the front, people will want to be like me, and they would just do what it takes. I
love that. So what's the so you created a culture and an environment, right? And you guys are selling on Zoom as well. Do you have a Zoom room, like a live dials or whatever it may be, that your team participates in that's very close knit just for your guys' group? Yes, only my team. Only your team.
Love you all. Nobody gets into my dial team. And the reason is because I have to, it's like my classroom. Imagine if, hey, I'm going to let the entire world get into my classroom. I'm not going to be able to teach my team, and my team is not going to make themselves vulnerable enough to be able to learn at the level that they can. But yes, we have our dial team. It's only for, our hierarchy. So everybody that's within our hierarchy, we have several breakout rooms, all of our top producers. So you can watch the the producers doing protecting 100 families, 150 families, 200 families, 250 families, 50 families, 80 families, 15 families. They are encouraged and they do unmute. So you get to see all the different styles. The way I run my appointments is very different than the way Marlene run her appointments, and the difference between Austin run his appointments and Alex Milgram. And what happens is everybody gets to watch the different styles, and then they get to adjust what they are doing to whatever works for them best. Also for the new agents, if they come out there and they unmute themselves, I can coach them live.
Right.
Having me teaching them live while they're with clients, which is huge.
It's the biggest deal.
Virtual is very hard because it can be very lonely. You're trying to do it by yourself. But if you're working with an office, like I have several computers, my computer over here has my Zoom, and then you have people coaching and helping and talking to you live, it can be amazing. Absolutely. Because you're working within that culture and everybody is helping each other.
That's what I was going to say is like, so when you have people join your team and they don't hop on Zoom, what are they like outcasted, blasted? Like, how do you treat them?
Well, if they call me for help, I'll say, I can't help you. You got to ask that question on Zoom.
I love that. And see, that's the reason why a lot of people don't understand, Viv, is like struggling by yourself in this business doesn't pay you anymore. It's not like you get a higher comp.
Oh, you're not going to make it. Why are you wasting your time? Like, it's simple. We have a system that it works. You either get in the boat or jump off and drown.
That's so good.
It's like it's a waste of time, especially because I don't even know how many direct legs I have. I do know I have 10 Hall of Famers direct, and I do know that we're on track of having like 30 this year direct to me. But the thing is, I don't even know how many direct legs. I have no idea because the majority of my agency is direct to me. But at the end of the day, how am I going to be able to help all of these people like on one-on-one? Like, you can be on Zoom and unmute yourself, say, hey, Viv, this and that, can you help me? Or not just me, you can ask Jonna, you can ask Milgram, you can ask Marlene, you can ask Austin, you can ask John, I have 10 Hall of Fame producers live on Zoom every single day running live. Why wouldn't you watch them? Right. So the point is, the support that we offer our agents is so crazy. But if you're not willing to utilize what's here for you, like, you might as well quit. Go work at a fast food chain. They're always hiring. You're going to make more money there.
Oh my gosh, I freaking love you. That is so awesome. The other thing I wanted to ask is, so the last time I heard Sean say you had 25 direct groups, which is more than anybody in the company, which is the reason why you're also very profitable. A lot of times in this business, Viv, people get pump faked and they get, head faked with volume. Mm-hmm. Because you can have an agency that's doing 2-3 million in volume, but they're not necessarily profitable, right? With the amount of spread and width that you definitely have one of the most profitable businesses. Can you share your building philosophy, your agency building philosophy with everybody?
So for me and Adriana, remember, we came from building businesses. So I think that when you come to a company like FFL, which is by far, trust me, I can tell you that because I've looked everywhere. I've seen everything. It's by far the best insurance marketing organization in America. There's nothing like it. Absolutely. Not just because of the comp, because of the support, because of the bonuses, because everything that we have. And I think that a lot of people in FFL are freaking brats because they're so used to how good we have that it's very easy to complain about when things are not done your way. Because at the end of the day, it's just really freaking good. Right. And if you go look out there, it's like you're not going to find anything like it. But when you come into a company like this, it's very easy to get distracted with whatever people that are successful say that you should be doing. But at the end of the day, there are very specific standards that comes to business that should be implemented when you start an agency. And when we came in, a lot of people would say, oh, you have to build deep. You have to stack people. You have to do this. You have to do that. And I'm like, that doesn't make no sense to me. So I'm not going to do that. Right. I don't think so. Like, I'm coming here. I'm spending 15 grand a month in leads to recruit. I'm paying people to recruit, I'm paying support to contract, I'm paying people for, agent success managers, and then I'm giving away the override to somebody under me, and they're paying nothing, and they have no skin in the game, and they're not going to mentor these people. They're not going to, it's not coming out of their pockets. How does that make sense that I'm going to build deep? I'm building wine. I'm putting everybody that's costing me to bring it into my organization direct to me. And yeah, sounds like a lot of work. Guess what?
It is work.
That's what business is.
Yeah.
It is work. There's no such thing as making money or being successful at anything if you don't work. So right from the beginning, we made up our minds on what was the best steps for us to have a profitable business. And remember, we're giving up a company that was profitable, and it was starting out as a baby, and it could be a company that would be making millions of dollars a month for us. It would take longer and more work to be able to develop to where we wanted to be, but we're giving that up for this. So there was no doubt in our minds that we would be one of the most profitable companies because we were setting it up as a business. So just so you have an idea, Steve, our employees, executive assistant, agent success manager, recruiters, marketing directors, lead directors, by the end of this year, they're going to be making more money than CEOs.
Absolutely.
Why? Because everything we have was built by them. It's
Absolutely.
Not just me and my husband, it's all of them. They are the support for us to be able to get, but we have a business built like a business, and therefore, because we built it properly, we have the legs and we have the overrides. Our agents have the best support, our employees have the best pay, we have the most motivated people in the business to help us grow, and therefore, the growth is just inevitable.
Absolutely. One of the things that I was going to ask you guys too is people struggle with work-life balance, and I don't feel like there is any, right? One of the things that I always say, I was just sharing this with somebody the other day. When you go really fast, like as human beings, when we run, we're faster than when we're walking, right? That's usually what it is. But when you're running, you're only on one leg. When you come to a complete stop, which is both feet are on the ground, you're balanced, but you're not going anywhere, right? And so like I adopted that. I was like, in order to go fast, in order to want what I want, to be able to get what I get, I got to be going unbalanced all the time. You seem to have this figured out to the point where you spend wonderful time with your family. You guys go on small mini vacations, but you're also working your tails off too. What's your schedule like, and how do you balance your life? If there is even balance.
You're looking at my social media, aren't you?
I am, of course I am.
Let me give you the insides of it. That was the first vacation in 3 years,
Absolutely.
Steve. The first 7 days I took off in 3 years. Do you really think I wasn't working there?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. See, like
100% I was working.
Absolutely.
The reality is, you have to choose your work-life balance. You can have work-life balance broke, or you can have work-life balance very successful, right? The reality is there's no such thing as work-life balance. And in my opinion, work-life balance is for losers. And even losers don't have work-life balance. Like the reality is, what is it that you want in life? Like, you can have a 9-to-5 job and make $15 an hour, and still don't have time with your kids, because at the end of the day, you have to go take another job where you work nights or you work on the weekend so you can pay your rent. So you have no work-life balance. You're working, getting $15 an hour, and you don't have time with your kids. Or you can own your own business, work 80 hours a week, spend the time that you have to actually build that business. And then when you're 40, 50, 60 years old, then you can have whatever time you want, because you build something that is cash flowing in a passive basis. So you work if you want to. I mean, I will still work, this. Right. Like I'm a crazy person, and I cannot live a life without working. But and I mean, it's the craziest thing, because this week I did put my phone on do not disturb, and I have an amazing staff that if I wanted to not work, I would have. I literally, I could be on that beach, but I started looking at all kinds of things. I'm like, no, I need to do this, I need to do that. And then we're doing other things as well. And it's just because I'm a psycho, but we are at the point that our employees and our structure allows us to take the time off if we want to. Now, why would we? We can build something now. I'm 35 years old. Oops, sorry guys. We can build something now that when I'm 40 years old, I can take off an entire summer and work from Italy if I want, because my business is completely remote, and spend all the time I want with my kids. And my kids can have the life I always dreamed for them. Why would I do that? I'm young and healthy and I can do that now. And my kids are 100, my 12-year-old, he's like, oh, when I'm 18 years old, he was at conference, he was sitting with me over there and he was like, oh, I'm gonna get that belt. I'm like, yes, baby, let's go. You know, and they're inspired. Our kids are inspired by us. They want to be like us, you know, just like you're inspired by your mom working like she did, so you can be like your mom. So at the end of the day, work-life balance is very overrated. There is no such thing. And if you want to have work-life balance, I'm sorry, you're a loser. Because the reality is you are young and healthy. Go to work now. Don't have balance. You know, put everything you have, your entire being into something. So later down the road, you can have everything. And the reality is, I since I was a kid, I was this La La Land believer little girl that I used to say that I would have the fairy tale prince and I would be very rich and I would have all these businesses and I would have my first kid at 16 years old, and everybody used to make fun of me always. And I used to go to these concerts and get like autographs, and I would make little benches outside of my house and I would sell those autographs, and everybody like, oh, this girl, she's a psycho. And the reality is, I truly believe that you can have it all. You can have it all, but you're gonna have to work for it. And now it's the time to work. It's not the time to breathe. You can breathe later when you're a little bit older. You have it all. You have all kinds of business, making all the money that you can have it all, and you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to go to work. That's work-life balance. It's not having a 9-to-5 job and spending Saturday and Sunday with your kids without having money to actually take them to the park to actually buy the things that they want. Work-life balance is later down the road when I'm 40, 45 years old, I can go anywhere. I don't have to work. And everything that I've built is paying for the life that I want. And the life that I want is a very, whatever it is that I want. So right. That's how I see it. I'm not looking for work-life balance. I'm looking to win big. And that's the mentality that will take anybody really to that place that I think we all want to be at, which is passive income, which is that's the thing that we're doing right now, Adriana and I. We're like, you know, we have a passive business. Our staff takes care of most of everything, but there's other things too. Like I had somebody that quit and said, oh, I want to go and do real estate investing. I'm like, okay, but you're broke. How are you going to invest into real estate?
How are you going to buy it?
How are you going to buy real estate? So I started looking into all kinds of real estate investing strategies, right? And there's a lot of things that you can do as being broke to be able to invest into real estate. But that means you have to work 5 times harder than you have to work here.
Exactly. That's what people don't understand.
You've been door knocking to find deals and creative financing and all kinds of things. So, which was really cool because I started learning about all these things about real estate. And you know me, when I like stuff, I'm like, okay, Adri, let's start doing this whole thing. Let's do like start buying properties and doing Airbnb. So we went to Panama City and we fell in love. We were at this Airbnb, this beautiful house in the beach. It was the most beautiful vacation I could ever imagine. And we're like, right there, we found a real estate agent. We put an offer on the property, and we're buying properties now to put into real estate. But what allows me to do that? I'm going back in the field, and I'm going for 100 to 200 families protected a month, so I can take that income, and then I can buy properties, and that's what? Passive income. But the only way we can do that is because of this business that is actually your ATM that allows you to protect people and then build something for later down the roads that will give me what? Work-life balance.
Right. It's so perfectly said that you said that. Like, that's the most craziest thing that I learned about this business is the cash cow. That's what people don't understand. Like everybody goes, like Andrew Taylor taught me so early on. He was like, so many people want to get into real estate rentals and be able to cash flow and all that. They're like, He's like, but think about this. If I took 100 grand, bought a property that's 300,000-400,000, the mortgage will be 2,500. I have to rent it out for 3,500 to make $1,000. Or I can teach a brand new agent how to sell 5 grand and have 20 points on them. And that cost me not 100 grand, you know? And so like, you started looking at that way and you're like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And, you know, you're talking about work-life balance. And I love that answer so much, by the way. Everybody goes, well, you got your integrity deal. Like, you can retire now. And I'm like, you know, what's funny? Most of us got our integrity deal and we got bored. Because like, when you're broke, you think having money, you don't have to work anymore. Like, that's the goal. And then what happens is when you get to that position, though, your mind can't shut off because you're a high level thinker. You're a critical thinker. That's what got you to where you are. And so like, I remember Andrew told me, like, he's like, everything good comes in moderation. He goes, I can go to the beach. I would love to go to the beach, but I can't go to the beach 15 days in a row.
Oh, I was at the beach and I was like, honey, I need to get back home. I'm dying here. I gotta go. Can't do this anymore. 7 days. I'm out of here. I need to go home.
But see, that's what people don't understand. It's like, they think like, oh, when I get to this dollar amount or I get to this position, I can just do nothing. And here's what I can tell you. Successful people will never do nothing because it doesn't allow them to get to where they are because of their thought process that way, you know? And so it's like, now you see a lot of us, like you see Josh and Alondra, Nina, Hayden, like a lot of us, Zach, even though he has a baby, he's still traveling. Like, we're still actively going to protect families. We're still doing this business because if you love what you do, it's not really work.
As we should, because at the end of the day, that's what got us here.
Absolutely.
And our business is directly related to us. And I've been saying this all along, you know this, right, Steve? I'm like, why are you doing these people on the field? And I'm like, hire people to run the business. You can write insurance. Like, why wouldn't you? And at 145%, it's a mind blown. It's mind blowing to me what we can do. Like now, okay, you have your integrity partnership, and you have staff, you have people, you know, running your agency, and then you can build your tomorrow as well, and you can inspire your agents to do what you are doing. Right. Because the reality is, people didn't join my agency because they wanted to do insurance. Okay, I'm just gonna sell insurance and I'm gonna get these agents. No. They joined my agents because they wanted to be me. They wanted to become what I am. They wanted to grow to the level that I have. It's just like, people don't buy your products, they buy you. They wanted to work with me. And if now I'm not doing what they wanted to do, so I'm not who they joined to begin with, the motivation is gone. And that's why I've seen a lot of agencies going, ooh, because they bought you, but you are not here anymore. So that's what I say. I think I'm never going to get off of the field. And people call me like, why are you in the field? Your agency, our agency is going to protect 1,800 families this month. Why are you in the field? I'm like, why not? Right. That's weird. Like, why not? I can hire somebody to do some of the things that we are doing now. And I can take 1 or 2 days and be in the field. And I think a lot of people didn't realize that until they saw the numbers going down. But it's refreshing to see leaders leading. And at the end of the day, it's what I love doing. I know it's what you love doing too, which is protecting families. So back to the ground one. Is that a thing? Is that English? Ground one? No? I don't know. No. Back to square one.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Don't even speak English. Imagine
hey, All-American Award, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
I have no idea what it meant. Listen, you guys don't understand. I got out of that stage and I needed to go to the bathroom so bad. And I was about to run into the bathroom, like from the stage. And next thing I hear, he's like, Vivian, not Jan. I'm like, what the hell is happening? And then I go back.
I'm glad you didn't leave, though. I'm glad you didn't leave.
I'm American, I'm Brazilian. I had no idea what that award meant at all. And then when I got out, Dave Richard, he's like, oh, that's the best awards. I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, that means you guys are the best at everything. And I'm like, oh, it's amazing. All-American Awards.
Yeah. So like in sports, like if you're an All-American, it means like, so like you have like all city and then you have all state and then you have all regions. All-American means you're just the best across the country.
That's awesome. I had no
That's
idea. It was
that's
like, oh my
and you know
gosh.
Sean loves sports, so everything he
Yeah,
does is sports related. So All American Award is you're basically the best agent across the country. Yeah, absolutely, and
that
that's
was
definitely deserving. So, by the way, if anybody has any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A or drop them in the chat. We'll hit them in the next 5 minutes. But Viv, as you work with so many new agents, what are the most common things that you see that brand new agents fail miserably at, and how, or like what are the things that they can prevent themselves from being hurt dangerously compared to the agents that are successful?
I think that a lot of new agents, they get in their own way. They want to do it their own way. They the biggest thing is when you start out, it's gonna be a bitch. You're gonna fail.
Absolutely.
You're gonna fail at the level that's not even funny. And then when people fail and things are not going their own way, they want to change the system that has been developed by all of us that have failed over and over and over and over again. And we perfect it to be able to avoid them to failing at that level. And they want to change and do it their own way. And it doesn't work. It does not work. So I think the biggest issue new agents will have is just getting their own way and doubting what's being set for them to succeed, and just not be consistent because things are just not working out. It's not supposed to work out when they start out. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to be very hard. It's supposed to be miserable. It's supposed to be getting home at the end of the day and sitting in the shower and crying for 2 hours like I did for the first, 4 months. And it didn't matter. Sometimes I would protect so many families. I would still cry for 2 hours. I'm so emotional, and I would literally leave, like, I would put my whole self into every kitchen table to the point that at the end of the day, I was empty. Like, I was just exhausted to a level that I can't even describe. So the thing that people need to realize is that I was them 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and if I had quit, I wouldn't be here now. You wouldn't be here now, Steve. So the reality is there is no success without failure. There's no such thing. And embrace the failure, embrace the fall, enjoy the fall, understands that it's part of it, get through it as fast as you can. And at the end of the day, just follow what the people that have been here before you to the T, what they have laid out for you, because that's the fastest way of getting to where you want to be. And then be coachable, man. If you're not coachable, again, fast food is hiring, because it's not gonna work here. If you are not coachable, it's not gonna work. It's just not, because at the end of the day, you're gonna be trying to rewrite a system that took years and a lot of sweat equity for us to create. And at the end of the day, the likelihood you're gonna survive is very slim. So
Absolutely. See, the other thing, Viv, is like people always say there's no shortcut to success. And I'm like, there actually is. Find someone that did it and then go do it their way.
Repeat. There we go.
That's the secret to success. Now, like, there's work involved, obviously, but like people go like, if you don't do that, it's going to take twice as long because you're going to replicate the same mistakes they made. And in business, the problem about making mistakes is it costs you a lot of money. A lot of money.
Especially in this business.
Right. So I love it. One of the questions that Amy has for you is, do you work only mortgage protection, or do you work final expense as well?
I don't personally do final expense unless one of my clients asks for final expense, just because my passion is in mortgage protection. And the reason is because my ex-husband had an accident after we bought our home in California. He was disabled for 2 years. We did have a mortgage protection policy, and that policy saved my $700,000 home.
Wow.
So for me, it's personal, very personal. For me, when I'm sitting with somebody, I am the doctor, and that person has cancer, and I need to make sure they understand that they need to go through whatever treatments necessary to protect him from ever having cancer again. And so it's so personal for me that that's what makes me so good at it. Now, if I have to do final expense, I will do for clients that do want final expense policies. But I don't personally do final expense. I do have several people on my team that do final expense, again, because they're very attached to it. They had mom or dads that passed and they didn't have anything in place. So for them, it's personal. So they only want to do that. And I think that at the end of the day, a lot of people are chasing money, Steve. A lot of people are chasing, you know, whatever they can make more money. And it's very simple. You got to chase your heart. You got to chase what your why. You got to chase what makes you tick. You got to chase what makes you feel like you're doing right by people in the world. And if you are putting other people first, you're gonna win at very high level. When people ask me, hey, how are you getting you know, these agents producing at such high level? To me, it's very simple. If I sit down with one of my agents and I ask them, hey, buddy, you issue paid 30 grand. Well, you protected 30 families last month. How much money you have in your bank account? And they tell me, oh, I'm broke. I don't have money in my bank account. I will want to quit the business, because at the end of the day, I'm not doing this business for me. I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for me. And the reality is, I want every single agent to be profitable like I am. I want their bank accounts to be profitable like mine is. So at the end of the day, it's really understanding what's going to help everybody at the higher level. So put people first. Put people first. So if final expense makes you feel like you're making a difference in people's lives, there we go. If life insurance is it, there we go. If it's mortgage protection, there we go. At the end of the day, I didn't have any mortgage protection leads at all in Miami when I was in the field, you know, and I made it work anyway. I was dropping mailers and I was paying $300 to $500 a lead to be able to get leads for mortgage protection, and I made it work anyway. So if you were passionate about something and something makes you feel like you're making a difference in people's lives, you're going to make it work no matter what kind of leads you're working.
Absolutely. Now, did you ever work any age mortgage protection? How were they for you?
Oh, yeah. I started with 50-cent leads. I started with 3 to 10-year-old leads. And I worked age mortgage protection for my first 4 months in the field. And those are still my favorite leads to date. I don't allow any of my agents to work brand new leads.
I love that.
Anyone, when they start out, they have to work age mortgage leads probably for their first 4 to 5 to 6 months. Because you really have no idea what's good and what's not good if you're not working the age leads. You also don't know how to dial the phones. So the age leads will allow you to learn. It's your school, it's your university, it's your college. So
Absolutely.
you've got to start with the right leads to be able to teach you how to work the business. And I don't care how successful you are, you come in here, you want to do mortgage protection, you're going to dial the freaking phones. And don't get me wrong, the majority of my agents, they have dialers, you know. I mean, when you get to the point that you're protecting 40, 50, 60, 70 families, 80 families, I mean, why would I have you on the phone dialing the phones? You get dialers, you know. We have a system where we set up people to have their own dialers, but you are not allowed to look at a dialer until you are protecting 30 to 40 families a month.
Absolutely.
Right?
Because if not, number one, you couldn't have the money to pay for it anyways.
Exactly. You're going to go bankrupt trying to get, you know, somebody to book appointments for you, and you don't know how to coach them, to teach them. So, and a dialer is an extension of you. So if you don't know how to make them, and they're doing the hardest part of your job, selling insurance is easy. Dialing the phone is not. So you need to know how to coach them and how to mentor them to become the other half of you. And if you don't have the money, the time, and the energy, you know, and know-how, it's a recipe for failure and bankruptcy and quitting the business.
Yeah, I love that. That is so funny that you say that. We have 2 more questions and we'll wrap up with this. Shella asks, how did you manage to work while you were in bed rest? Because that's the situation that she's in right now.
I didn't work. I didn't work because at that time I wasn't willing to do virtual appointments. At the time, FFL didn't have anything virtual. I knew how to do virtual. I wasn't willing to do it. I could, but I didn't need to either because my jewelry line was doing 300 grand a month. So I was just sitting in my computer and doing the jewelry line at the time. But if I had to, I would just run my appointments telesales or virtual. And I didn't want to. That's different. So at the time, I took my time and I rolled my bed rest and I took some time off. I was working like a dog before and I worked like a dog after. But if you are in bed rest and you're trying to make it happen, just do telesales or do Zoom. If you're a doctor, allows you. My doctor didn't even allow me because the stress level could make me lose the baby. So I wasn't willing to do that. But if you are allowed to, you can, there's so many resources that you can utilize now to make that happen. And telesales is a great one of them, because you don't even need to be on camera or being, you know, like all prettied up. You're just doing phone appointments.
I love it. Last question from Alan. What's the schedule for a 50 plus per a month producer?
It depends on what you want to issue. 50, 70, and 100 and 200 is very different. Like one of my agents, he has a system where he says that each appointment will equal to $561 of submit business.
Okay.
So if you want to, let's say if you want to submit, and it has to be done at a high level. So if you want to submit, like you want to protect 15 families. Where's my phone? I have to do the math. You want to do each appointment. So, study. So you want to run 30 appointments a week, and then you're going to be around 16 families a week, right? But he does it at a very high level. He's my producer that does 100 appointments a week. So what he does is this: 561 times 100. So he's at 56 submit. So what that means is that he runs 100 appointments. He's usually around that, anywhere from 45 to 60. So that's a really weird number, but he does it at a very, very high level, right? So at the end of the day, what I tell my agents, if you're doing virtual, you need to be running at least the very bare bones minimum 40 appointments a week, at least. And you should be around that 15 number.
Absolutely. Well, Viv, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for hopping on and sharing this with us, because, you know, it's just fresh to be able to have different ideas on how to do the same thing. And when you're growing as fast as you are and you're helping people like the way you are, it's just be able to see it too. And you're so passionate about this business, and we all knew you were going to be successful. I'm excited to be able to see you at the integrity table soon too. So if there's anything we can do to help, please let us know. But thank you so much, Viv, and we appreciate you.
Thank you. You guys have a beautiful day. Bye.
Likewise. Have a great one. Be blessed, everybody.